Hey there everybody. Today I'm going to do a tutorial on how to get the Stranger Things look in your footage. I know Stranger Things is a really popular series right now. I watched the whole second season within 24 hours, and one of my favorite things about the series is the way that the footage is shot and it's colored. So I thought I'd make a tutorial on how to make it look like that. So before we even get started, I have 3 clips here that were filmed a couple weeks ago, and each of them have different attributes to them. Some are more darker, some are lighter, but they all were shot in the fall. After you have your 3 shots that you've chosen, or however many shots you would like to have, you need 2 adjustment layers over each of the shots. So the first adjustment layer, called base correction, you want to apply the color correction effect to all 3 of these. I'll do that now. With the basic correction, we are going to look at the exposure and fix the exposure in each of the shots. So go over to the color board and click on exposure and click Command 7, and what that's going to do is bring up this chart, and what this chart shows you is how exposed the shot is. So if I come over to the shadows here, this black bar, you'll see it moves it down, and you want to move it down to 0, and you don't want anything past 0. You can get like just a little bit, but generally you don't want to go past that. And you want to bring up your highlights until you start losing data, and you can see I'm losing data once it goes to a flat line. So I'm going to go right before that, and that'll will give you the most amount of contrast in your shot. So I'm going to go through all of these, do that, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've done color correction on each one of these shots, I've lowered the shadows and raised the highlights on every single one of them. Now we can apply what is called a LUT. Now a LUT is just a fancy, not a really fancy term, but a term for a filter, kind of like on Instagram. And to apply a LUT, I'm going to go down here into our effects, type in MLUT, and this plugin allows you to add LUTs to each one of your clips. So I'm going to do that 3 times. And what you're going to want to do is go to the MLUT folder here in Final Cut Pro and click Load Custom LUT. Now this is the LUT I use for this type of shot, and I'll leave a link for it in the description below. And this shot really gives you nice fall colors, and you can change it and you can adjust it within Final Cut Pro as well. So click on Load, I'll bring up this box, and you can see it's changed our first shot quite a bit. Now it looks kind of unnatural, and we want to fix that up so it looks as natural as possible, kind of like in Stranger Things. So I'm going to go to right about this point where we have the most amount of colors, and I'm going to go down to the highlights and lower them just a little bit. I'm going to go to the midtones. I'm going to raise them or lower them to whatever looks most natural. And I think if we raise them, that'll give us the best look we need. And I'm going to lower the shadows a little bit, not quite past 0, right about there. And one thing I do almost every time is I lower the intensity. This will give it more of a natural look, and you can see the grass looks more natural, not quite as green, but we still get that nice really blue color in the sky like in Stranger Things. So I'm going to go through all of my shots and do that for each one of them, and I'll show you what they look like afterwards. Okay, so I've applied the LUT to each one of these shots, and now I think they all look pretty consistent with one another. Each of them are totally different from one another, so they might not look exactly the same. But for your shots, they most likely will, since you're probably filming in the same location and timing and whatnot. Okay, so I'm done applying the LUT to each one of these shots, and the look came out pretty good. With the second one, it's more of a darker tone and there's less highlights that I had to adjust because the sky is it's too overexposed, and almost all of the shot is this bench and the foliage behind it. On the second shot, there's some sky and there's a lot of different things in here. This shot was a lot harder. I had to lower the intensity quite a bit to make it look as natural as possible. If I had it all the way up, it would have looked really, really unnatural. So I lowered it to about 44, I think is what I had it at. Something like that. You can play around with it as much as you like to get the shot that you want. Once you're done with all your shots, you can go ahead and apply a letterbox to give it more of a cinematic look, and adjust it however you'd like throughout all of the shots. So that is how to get the Stranger Things look in your videos. I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to like and subscribe, share the video, and yeah, that's it for the video today. Later.